everyone, and welcome to the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show. My name is Vanita Lambert, and I have the privilege and honor of hosting the show every single week for, I think, the past, I want to say 10 years or so. And I want to thank David Goodman and his family for setting up this platform so that we could share information with the greater Bridgeport area and beyond, because now we're on YouTube. So basically what that means is that it allows me to bring on guests that specialize in certain areas. And today we have Pastor Leston Black. I met him about a month ago at Full Gospel Church. Well, I'm not going to say we were serving food. They were serving food, and I was eating food.
Yeah, at the Kingdom Kitchen.
Yeah, Kingdom's Kitchen. So basically, I just came and dropped off some sodas, and what they do is they service the community every 2 weeks. They, they accept donations, and they cook it, and then they set it up like a restaurant. And they have the community come in, they have takeout plates, and they feed their community. So, some people are going through some hard times, and that's basically where I met him. And here we are here again today. And Leston Black is a life coach, especially in the area of family training, parents and their children. So, Mr. Black, thank you for coming on another show. We already did one today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And we appreciate the information that you share, because a lot of us, everybody don't have all the information on how to raise a child and what to do and who to call, and just don't know what to expect. So we were just talking about one of the important times is from 0 to 4. But before we get into all that, can you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your journey on how you got started being a family life coach?
Right, Leston Black here from Jamaica. Well, my grandparents was deeply involved in the Baptist church. So I grew up in that environment, train up a child in the way they should go. And of course, my grandmother particularly raised me, so I was with her all the time. And that was our emphasis, because it's our divine right to be a part of our grandchildren's life, according to them.
Uh-huh.
So, the things that my grandmother taught me, that's what I was out there doing, until I came upon this research that done by some teachers and parenting skill. So I was out here sharing and teaching what the scientists have to say about, how we parent, because this is very important. Because some of us, who didn't do well in school, used to label us as this and that and that and that. So, you want to give the proper information out there. So I was sharing what, and the research is in all the library, the World Book Encyclopedia. You can go and look it up yourself about how to, assess the parents, assess the kids, and the journey through school. Because what they said, from birth to 18, the child spent 86% of their time outside the classroom. And that's why I have this T-shirt about home is the most important institution. So what we do at home is going to impact our children's life very significantly. So we have to, take an inventory of what we do at home, not only at school, because at school they do tests and everything, but we need to do our thing at home so that our kids can be successful.
Exactly.
Because not being successful, they are going to end up in the wrong places.
Oh my goodness, we don't want that to happen. So yeah, I think that you're right. From age 0, because you're the parent, you're the only people that your child is going to know when they're first born until they start going to maybe daycare or pre-K. And everything that you teach them is going to be impactful. That they're going to learn from you. Everything they see, they're going to do. And say, for example, if you swear, they're going to pick up those swear words. So you got to be very careful on what you do around your children and how you teach them and showing them love. usually babies are just so easy to please. You change their diaper, you give them a bottle, you play with them, and hang out with them, and they know that you love them. I think the challenging ages as the child grows is like when they start to walk. You got to make sure they don't hurt themselves. From age 2 to 3, and then when they're going to school. So you want to start. Well, I started reading to my kids when I was pregnant, so
Right,
and they
right,
get used
right.
to your voice, and they get used to the calmness of just listening, because you can't run around and play while you're listening. So that's one of the things that I learned just from reading to my kids. But so it's important that the parent, and all parents, parenting doesn't come with a handbook. You don't know how to do it. You don't know what to do. So, what do you recommend? What did you do?
Well, what
what
I
did-
did in Jamaica when I was a parent there with my son is to form parenting group. So I learned
Okay.
from other people.
Okay.
What other people do, the best ideas, I take it home.
Other professional people, or just a group of parents?
Just other parents
Okay.
in the community. Because we had some group there, some other parents that formed some group. So I'd be a part of those group and try to learn from other people, how to discipline, how to make sure that you take the best practice home.
Uh-huh.
And of course, learn from books. 'Cause I read a lot of books too. Because it's a challenge job. It's a full-time job, 24 hours a day.
Yep.
You just have to make sure that you do the right thing. And of course, they keep on learning. And one bad habit, if you don't catch it early and try to correct it, can destroy the child life. So, you have to be on your pew and cue all the time.
Yes.
To make sure that you're giving the right information out to your kids, that they can benefit from it. And what the scientists, are saying that they learn one set of rules at school, or one set of discipline at school, and different at home. And that's why they have, different personality, because they're learning something at home different from the teacher. So what I try to do in Jamaica is to make, the home closer to what they are doing at school.
Okay.
So I try to bring to the parents, the school curriculum, the activity at school. Like, of course, they need to read, they need to write, they need to, do some different format at school. So you cannot give the parents an idea, For instance, I go to some home and, of course, the television is there, the living room, the television.
Everybody's watching TV.
Right. Sometimes I turn that, if the parents allow me, that living room or TV room into a library.
Okay.
Encourage them to put up some shelves to get some books there, and then put some posters on the wall that the kids can, of course, have some learning concept at home that they can do better at school.
Exactly. Instead of just all the, the entertainment.
Right.
And then you gotta have rules. Once your child start getting older. So now we're getting past, age 2 and 3.
Right.
I think, like, in today's world, children are just so much different than they were the last generation. Every generation, they get smarter and smarter, and they're doing more and more things. I often wonder, what are they putting in these prenatal vitamins? Because now they come out, and I have a 3-year-old granddaughter who thinks she knows more than I do.
Right.
And, she just learned how to go to the bathroom on her own. So, it's just a whole different world out there. And it's difficult to know, parenting doesn't come with a handbook. It doesn't say when you have a baby, do A, B, and C. You learn as you go, especially with that first one. And sometimes that could be challenging and that could be hard. So what you did with your, your life coaching group, I thought that was really, really smart, because no one person can figure it out. If you get together and learn everybody's story and what they're doing with their kids, you may say, okay, well, let me try this with mine. Because, you have to keep trying different things and figure out what works. Family is not an easy thing, especially when you have, the parents, Another thing I learned too, with children is that if you, and this happened to me, I'm just talking from a place of experience.
Right.
That, my husband and I, we were together, I think like 13 years before we even had our first child. And so when we had the first child, things changed a lot. It puts a lot of pressure on your relationship. You start counting the minutes. Usually, before the child came, he had his life. You're like, oh, I'm going to play baseball, and I went with my girlfriends and this, that, and the other. And now you have a child. And when the child, when they become active, I think like around that 1.5, 2 years old, and they start walking, and you got to catch them from the stairs and this, that, and the other. You want and need that support, and they start to put pressure. And I think, they start to put pressure on the relationship because you can't do the things that you're used to doing. And then you begin to question and measuring, well, what time are you going? What time are you coming back? What did you do today to help me out with the kid or whatever? And a lot of, have you experienced something like that?
Definitely.
So in a situation like that, we need someone from the outside to come in and kind of help coach this new family situation so that everybody can survive. Right. And that's why, I'm not going to say that's why, but if you notice today, a lot of relationships do not survive. I don't know what the numbers are, so I'm not even going to, don't hold me to any numbers, but I personally know a lot of relationships that don't survive 3, 4, 5 years. Right. And a lot of times it could be because they just don't know what you don't know, and that they don't understand how the kid is putting pressure on you, and maybe you just need some group therapy and figure out how to manage things.
Right. You are so right about that, because it puts a lot of pressure on the relationship. And so I have here, parents only full-time job. It's a full-time
for everybody.
Job. Right, for everybody. It's a job plus, at home. And this morning I went down by the library there, and the library is a center for the elderly, or for the senior center.
Yep.
So we need something like that, to give support to the parenting skill. Of course, church might have some center there, if we can form something there. Of course, we can do something online on our phone, just talk to each other. Mm-hmm. But we need a support group, the support system. Of course, daycare is one of the things that give us support out there, so we have respect to the daycare teacher or the caregivers at the daycare. But we need a support system, because it takes a village to raise a child.
Exactly.
And that's what I was trying to encourage in Jamaica, because if we want our kids to succeed, we have to, because some of us choose to live in certain era, because, we don't want the kids to expose to certain elements. So, those type of stuff we have to manage, our life and the life of our children, tell them to do well.
Yeah, keep them in the house. That's what I did.
Well, that's the best.
Keep them at home. Like you said, home is the most important institution. If you're, living in an area like the one I grew up in the projects, you just keep your kids in the house as much as possible and teach them as many positive things as you can. And when you go outside, take them outside the environment so that they can see other things, because they're, if they grow up in a certain area, they're going to see what's going on. And sometimes that area can take, the outside can take control of your kids. Right. So it's extremely important what you do on the inside, what you talk to them about, where you take them, how you teach them, what you do when you're in the house with them, And like in terms of where to go for parents that are in the middle. So we have daycare centers, we have after school programs and all that stuff for kids, and sports for the high school kids and this, that, and the other. And then we have senior centers for the elderly. But for parents, the middle-aged parents that are, maybe getting stressed out because they have multiple kids and it's putting pressure on them, and you're not able to live the life that you lived before the kids, which you can't. If you're planning a baby, you're pregnant for 9 months, you got to know things are changing. So you're preparing yourself for that change, but then it's a whole different ball game when the baby gets here.
The baby gets, no, definitely.
So
definitely.
one of the things that you can do is for support. I am an insurance agent for Medicare. So on your Medicare card or any healthcare card you have your primary care doctors, then you have your specialists. It is possible that you can go to a specialist and talk to them, like marriage counseling, family counseling, things like that. So I think that's a possibility. I just thought of that.
No, definitely.
You know,
we need that type of support. And for some of you who have the church, space there, it's good that you recognize, that other people need this type of support. Because you have been through it, you have the experience. Is to, teach younger people how to manage. Because it's a different environment today. Totally different environment. Because we have the cell phone, we have so much things going on around us. So we have to really, manage the life of our children, that they can make the right connection from an early age, that they don't end up in the wrong places. Want to keep them on the right, part.
Exactly.
And that's what, why these people write these books. A World Book Encyclopedia is in the library out there, and they put a lot of information in, curriculum based, done by teachers, to give parents information that they needed at home to do well at school.
Oh, okay. So what are the name of some of the books? Just, you said the encyclopedia?
Yeah, the World
It
Book.
kind of mirrors the work at school to have the parents teach the kids?
Teach the kids at home. Because it's curriculum based. So the same thing they're doing at school is the same thing they give.
Oh, it's like homework.
Like homework.
They're doing that.
Right.
So the parents are, you know what, some of the problems are, if you have a parent that didn't finish school.
Right.
Or didn't have the opportunity to finish school or whatever. And now with the curriculum that they have today, they may not even understand it. And they wouldn't be able to help the child with it. So teaching is important. You have to do. You got to learn it.
Yeah, you have to have something.
You know what? When my kids are going to school, I'll be honest, I could not do that homework. I couldn't do the math. My husband had to do it, or we had to call. One of my kids went to a tutor because I just didn't understand it. We didn't have that curriculum when I was in school. So that's another thing that you're faced with.
Right.
But I'm talking about just like, personal things like construction, listening to, going through a whole day of construction of things that need to be done at a certain time. Like you get up in the morning, you make up your bed, you have your snack time at 10, then you go to lunch, and then you have your playtime, you read a book or whatever. These are the things that need to be taught in the home.
Right.
And even if you're babysitting I babysat for my granddaughter one day, and she's in daycare, so she's in a structured environment. And so I said, what am I going to do with this kid all day? She's 3 going on 100.
Right.
She's so smart, 3 going on 33. I don't know. I call her a little lady. So what I did, I went online, okay, and I looked up, what do you do in daycare from 8 in the morning till 5? And I followed that model.
Right.
And that's what I did with her.
No, definitely.
And that's another thing, today, if you don't know what you don't know and you come across a problem and you don't know what to do, you could go right onto your smartphone and go to Google and say, my kid is having a tantrum, he's 3 years old, what do I do? You can ask Google anything. And then, so I think what Google would say is start to distract them. And I like what you said last time. Just leave them in a room by themselves and let them cry it out for, 5 or 10 minutes. You're not going to ignore them or abandon them or whatever. But if they're having a little fit, just let them cry it out until it's over and they're ready to tell you what they need.
Right.
Because we don't understand fits. We don't understand what you want.
No, definitely. But I was saying that, what it said that the child tried to dictate things, to get the parents' attention.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they're crying, or whatever. Sometimes you need to, just ignore them allow them to cry it out while you do what you need to do. You know that they are fed, they are safe, and you know there's nothing wrong with that child, but the child just wants your attention. And just ignore them, you know, and they will come around to be by themselves a little bit, you know. That's what they said there. So, you know, sometimes you just have to just follow what the specialists say.
Let it play out.
Yeah, and let it play out. And that's what I did, you know, and my son turned out to be very successful. A very successful chef, you know, so
Well,
those
congratulations.
are some little stuff you need.
Where is your son? He's in
Jamaica.
Connecticut?
He's in Jamaica.
Oh, he's in Jamaica. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
Wow.
He's back in Jamaica.
You just made me hungry talking about being a chef. Oh, gosh. So does he have his own restaurant or what does he do?
He work with the hotel system down there.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So it's a challenging job, but with the right help and the right group and the right environment, it is attainable. Because the scientists saying it's about the environment. Children live what they learn. Because sometimes we used to say, no, oh, this child is, but it says the environment. Because if they, you know, they are going to pattern us, do what we do what they see.
Yep.
So we have to make sure that they, you know, in the environment that they see the right stuff and they're going to
Introduce them to new and different things.
Right.
And if they're headed down the wrong track, just, you know, redirect them down the right track. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. And you know what? I'm old school. I'm from Alabama. I do believe in discipline. If they're doing the wrong things, and I do believe in giving chances, though. You know, if if they do something bad, I'm not just going to grab a belt and start whipping them. You should have done this or whatever. I'm not that type of old school. I like to communicate with them. I like to talk to them. And I want to get inside their heads. And that's one way that you could really find out how a child feels. One thing I do know is everybody wants to be heard. And I learned this from like an 8-year-old kid. My son was always very mischievous, always getting into things, always doing, you know, things that he shouldn't have been doing and always getting punished and this, that, and the other. And so one day, I think it was like 7, 8, I don't remember the age exactly, I sat him down after I spanked him and I said to him, tell me one thing that you don't like about me. And you know what he said to me? He said, you never listened to me. This kid taught me how to listen, how to become a better listener. And so I was like, okay, so I'm not listening. And I wasn't, because I knew he did it. The other one was a baby. He couldn't do it. So anyway, from that point forward, he did teach me how to listen. So I had to listen to all his crazy stories. And then I whooped his behind because I knew it was him anyway. But he respected me because I listened. Right. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to feel needed. These are things that, you know, we just naturally, that's human nature that you want. And so you have to listen to your kids. Ask them things. Have them, I have one guy on the show, ask them to set up the rules if they're old enough. What would you like to do? And just see what they come up with. How would you like to handle this? If you have the kid, say he's a teenager or just middle school, say have him set up the rules. What would you like to do when you get out of school? Do you want to do your homework first? Do you want to eat first? Do you want to play first or whatever? And let them set up the rules, and by letting them set up the rules, they have to do them.
Yeah, definitely.
They have to follow those rules.
Does
that make sense?
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And then if they break the rules, then they have to listen. They have to go by your rules.
Right.
So it's just little. It depends on your child too. I had a very challenging kid. Oh, he drove me crazy. But you know, thank God he's 33 now, and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So we have about 2 more minutes left to the show. And what last words would you like to leave our audience with?
It's also about nutrition too. It's also about what to give them to eat.
Oh, yes.
That energy level, you know, they need that proper nutrition to make sure that they, you know, the body is developing properly. You know, so And a matter of fact, the smartphone, there's so many stuff out there we can learn from, from other people out there because they put it online. So, today, if we are ignorant, is a choice because we have so much thing on YouTube.
You said if you're ignorant, what?
If we are ignorant today, is a choice.
Oh, yes.
Because we have so much thing out
You
there.
don't have to be. That's
We
right.
don't have to be ignorant because we have so much things out there.
Just ask Google.
Yeah, just ask Google. I go on YouTube, ask YouTube. There's so much things out there, ideas, that we can choose the best that really fit our environment and our circumstances.
Exactly.
So that's information out there.
Well, great. That's great information on, family and life, family life and how to at least learn about your child. Think about what they want. Ask them what they want if they're old enough. If they're 3 or 4, of course, you're probably not going to ask them that. But when they start getting older, 6, 7, 8, before you reach for a timeout or a belt, just sit and talk with them and find out what it is that they want and really, really listen to them. So whatever they tell you, make sure you remember it and apply something to it later on in the week so that they know that you listen. So you want to confirm that, a confirmation that, give them confirmation that they heard, that you heard them. And I think that's really important. Yep. So that's our show today on family. And I hope you're able to take some information from this and share it with your community. Thank you, Pastor Leston, for being on the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show. We appreciate you coming, and we are on your side.
Thank you.